Eleanor Whitmore never imagined that a simple vacation could change her life forever. At 42, she had been married to Jonathan Whitmore for nearly 2 decades. Their life in Chicago was stable, perhaps too stable. The routine had dulled the spark they once shared, and though Eleanor loved her husband, she couldn't ignore the gnawing emptiness inside her. When her best friend Margaret convinced her to take a trip to Hawaii, Eleanor hesitated at first. She had never traveled without Jonathan, but he had become increasingly absorbed in his work, often leaving her feeling invisible. After weeks of convincing, she finally agreed. As she stepped off the plane in Maui, the salty ocean breeze filled her lungs, and for the first time in years, she felt free. The first few days in paradise were magical. Eleanor and Margaret explored the beaches, hiked scenic trails, and indulged in tropical cocktails under the stars. One evening, while Margaret was exhausted from the day's adventures, Eleanor decided to take a walk along the beach alone. That was when she met Will Harrington. He was a man of striking presence, tall with sun-kissed brown hair, piercing green eyes, and a confidence that made Eleanor's heart race. He was in his late 40s, charming and mysterious. As they talked, Eleanor learned that Will was an artist from California, visiting Maui for inspiration. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, and before she realized it, hours had passed. Eleanor knew she should have walked away after that first meeting, but something about Will drew her in. The way he listened to her, the way he looked at her, as if she were the most captivating woman in the world, made her feel alive again. They met again the next day, and the next. With every encounter, the tension between them grew. Eleanor told herself it was just innocent companionship, but deep down, she knew it was something more. One night, as they stood by the cliffs overlooking the ocean, Will brushed a strand of hair from her face. The electricity between them was undeniable. "You deserve to be seen, Eleanor," he whispered. "You deserve to be loved the way you crave." The words shattered her defenses. When Will's lips met hers, she didn't resist. It was as if the years of loneliness had melted away in that single kiss. What started as stolen glances and lingering touches quickly escalated into a passionate affair. They spent their days exploring the island and their nights wrapped in each other's arms. Eleanor knew it was wrong, but with Will, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Wanted. But love born in secrecy can never last. As the vacation neared its end, reality loomed like a storm cloud. Eleanor was tormented by guilt. Jonathan had never mistreated her, never been unfaithful. He was a good man. So why had she betrayed him? Will, sensing her turmoil, tried to convince her to leave her marriage. "Come with me, Eleanor," he pleaded. "We can start over. You don't have to go back." For a brief moment, she considered it. But as much as she loved Will, she knew that what they had was built on stolen moments. Could it survive the real world? The night before she was set to leave, Eleanor met Will one last time. The sadness in his eyes mirrored her own. "I love you, Eleanor," he said. "But if you leave, I'll let you go." Tears streamed down her face. "I love you too, Will. But I can't do this." As she walked away, she felt her heart break into a million pieces. Back in Chicago, Eleanor felt like a ghost of herself. She looked at Jonathan and wondered if he could ever sense the betrayal in her heart. She tried to rekindle their love, but something inside her had changed. One evening, Jonathan surprised her with an anniversary trip to Maui. Her breath caught in her throat. Fate was cruel. As they arrived in Maui, Eleanor's heart pounded. Would she see Will again? Would he still be waiting? But as she searched for him in the places they once shared, he was nowhere to be found. A part of her ached, but deep down, she knew that perhaps some love stories were never meant to have a happy ending. Eleanor returned home, forever changed. Though she had lost Will, she had found herself. And sometimes, that was the greatest love story of all.